The Skeleton Boys are here tonight to tell you about soul survivors and bad drivers and death's design. Come on! Soul survivors! Let's go! Against death's design! Soul survivors! Skeleton Boys in the house.
Hello and welcome to the Skeleton Boys, a horror movie podcast. I am Rolando.
John. I am.
And welcome to our annual spooky special, Soul Survivors, a Final Destination Saga. If you didn't know what we're reviewing, is a Final Destination, the 2000 movie. As always, John will give us the plot in 5 words. We'll give our first thoughts, and then we go to a deep spoiler analysis.
And this is our Devon Sawa podcast.
This is literally our Devon
for today.
We just need what, idle hands and what else was he in?
SLC Punk.
Oh yeah, SLC Punk.
He's done some stuff.
Yeah,
Chucky.
we could knock them all out. But before we do any of that, we're gonna go back to TV Corner and review Chucky season 3, episode 6, titled "Panic Room."
Casper.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's just one of those movies that constantly is a big. Well, I guess people of our age remember that movie, right?
Yeah,
it was like a big movie
because it came out in 1995, right? So it's been a minute since it's been out.
Yeah, I was already in college by then. So just kidding.
It's gonna be 30 years next year since that movie came out.
Yeah. Well, how old's Christina Ricci
30
then?
years since you graduated college.
No reunion stuff comes up.
Christina Ricci was born in 1980, so 40 something.
Okay, that's not too bad. She was roughly like my brother's age. Our brother's age is not maybe. No, your brother's older. That's right.
Yeah, my brother's.
Your older brother is 70s. Yeah. That has nothing to do with Chucky. But it does because Devon Sawa is back. What a twist.
Because Devon Sawa was also born in the 70s, right?
Yeah. I want Devon Sawa to be my brother. No. See, he's back. So they faked us out for the annual Devon Sawa murder that happens every season.
Yeah, hopefully this one stays alive, right?
Well, he didn't die this episode, which is, I believe he generally... Oh, no, scratch that, because in the first season, when he played the twin died the first episode, and then the father of the annoying...
died later.
The son, died later. Devon Sawa's character usually dies, the second to last episode, because even the priest character, I think, died during the Exorcism was the name of the episode where they baptize Chucky.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you think he's going to die in the second to last episode of this season too? I'm
gonna venture that maybe not, based on no information whatsoever. But
yeah, because I can imagine if they do end up fucking killing Devon Sawa again the second to last episode, I'd probably be like bloody hell. Yeah,
because he just got reintroduced on this episode, where he plays
just the body double. Somebody saw the movie Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I thought a thought I had that I really wanted to be real, but I knew it wasn't going to be real, is I wanted this character to be the character from SLC Punk.
Oh, yeah.
And he's reformed his life, even though he's got a permy acid trip going on, because he's very goofy, plays younger, what I expect Devon Sawa to be like if you talk to him in person. Just
yeah. So he kind of plays he has to stand in because the president died, so he's pretending to be the president, which
there's ghosts.
There's ghosts.
It's confirmed now.
Chucky is resigned in he's gonna die, right? He's pretty much at death's door now.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happens in this episode, but it seems like the only important thing is like Chucky tries to nuke the world.
Chucky gets the hands on the nuclear codes. Yeah. That's where we are on the show. Pretty much.
Because everybody's aware that, or the president's family is aware that the president's dead for the most part. There's like no fooling them.
Right.
They're like, this guy looks nothing like my dad, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But like, I can't even think of the other deaths, to be honest. I know he kills people, right?
I mean, this is when they're kind of locked down from leaving the White House. And Joseph which is a little boy, right? That's kind of funny.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Joseph is the dead kid, right?
Yes. That. Oh wait, nothing. I wasn't gonna jump the gun on something. I was gonna speculate how the kid died.
Yeah. I mean,
never mind. Don't listen to the last what felt like 30 minutes of what I just did right now. And I'm sure it was more like 5 seconds, but we're not reviewing two.
We're not doing 2 episodes in a row.
John didn't get COVID. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, so he's pretending to be the president, the dude that's been in charge of taking care of everything. Not, I know I shouldn't be nitpicky, but not entirely sold on why he's got so much control over what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me,
to say the least. Yeah,
like to keep everything so secret too, like from everybody in the White House. Like the first thing people in the White House would do is like, oh, we got to tell the entire world. Like, no, I'm sure it's fine.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of seems that like they're kind of taking over, kind of a coup, if you say so. And then the kids are kind of like trapped in the White House. They can't leave. But the older son, who I'm assuming he has a name, I don't know, he's a little bit forgettable, invites the
first son.
The first son. He invites the whole gang to the White House. And they have that fucking terrible duet together. What is it? What did he sing?
Oh, Don't Fear the Reaper. I'm like, I could skip this. When does this end?
Yeah. It's like, God, none of this is good.
His name is Grant Collins.
Sure. It's fine.
Henry Collins, Charlotte Collins. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure where this show is going to go, especially because we haven't seen past this episode.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I am not. This is not my favorite season.
This seems like the season where they just said, I don't give a shit. We're just going to do every fucking thing possible. Yeah, balls to the wall. I'm gonna, every thought we have will put on page and make it reality. So,
hasn't been a thing before, but we're going to introduce ghosts into this world after 40 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's partly because I think why that's so weird is because despite all of its like, whatever, like horror fantasy elements about a guy using voodoo to put himself in a doll, everything after that, like the movie series is kind of more grounded, more of a slasher movie, that the whole how it happened is not as important, but now it's sort of like the show has constantly emphasized these like supernatural aspects of the show, aspects they've incorporated into the show, and we've lost a lot of the sort of like groundedness of the early stuff. So
yeah, I just hope that doesn't lead into so this will be the first time we see a actual physical Brad Dourif Dora since the very, very first Child's Play movie.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, that's cool just to see him act as a person, because I think, I'm sure he's done a billion things between them, but the last thing I can think of him in is Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What was his name? I'm going to get fucking crucified here. Wormtongue.
Yeah.
Wormtongue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's neat. I just hope it doesn't turn into like he's a ghost like the other things or whatever the fuck, and there's some like weird green screen CGI thing going on. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but that was despite like a very kind of like bland, boring episode, they do try to end it with like the promise, like, oh, we have Ghost Brad Dourif, which is it's like very enticing, right? Because it's like, oh, awesome, we get to see Brad Dourif act in something, even though he said that this was going to be like his last thing, right?
Yeah.
That he would probably, you and I speculated, he would probably move on to more of like a voice acting career. Less on-screen stuff is what we gathered from that comment he made about retiring.
Yeah. I can also see if this show doesn't get renewed, he's just like, all right, that was it's fun run. Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know what else to add. I mean, Chucky gets the nuclear codes and
he blows up the North Pole because he wants to convince kids that Santa's not real. As it's like one of his last evil acts. Which in this world, maybe Santa is real. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any rules anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does that, but he doesn't actually finish it because the little kid, that was the little kid's name. Joseph's alive brother. Henry Collins, the little kid, president's little kid's son, runs and opens the door for
Chucky,
our main kids.
Yes, yeah.
At the very end, so they can come in and stop Chucky from blowing up the world, because the president's first son was able to convince secret agent people to run down to this bunker that I'm sure everybody knew about, right?
Right.
It's like the first family's privy to information about where nuclear buttons and shit are at. I'm sure that's how that works.
Yeah.
And they stopped Chucky, who has become very, very old and decrepit looking.
Yeah, and they it kind of almost seems like they've had a really hard time, and I think we've said this, like they've had a really hard time making this story make sense. Like why are Jake and Devin and Lexi even in this? And then they kind of casually drop that Chucky is the only one that knows where Lexi's little sister is.
Yeah, and nobody's looking for Lexi's little sister because nobody cares about kids in this universe.
White kids. Nobody cares about white kids in this universe. So that's why they're kind of still like tangentially tied to the plot of this, is just because of this one thing, which is, I mean, that's enough motivation for most stuff, right? But it just seems like in doing that, they have like they've kind of like neutered the Lexi character, because if we can remember, like earlier seasons, she was like tough and like smart and bullied Jake heavily, and you know what I mean? She had like a little bit more like they
turn it into somebody that does, according to her, like thought dances, which for the older generations, thought means that hoe over there. Thought dances for TikTok,
right?
To try to find her sister,
or even,
which made no. It's like, why did they do that to the character? But yeah,
they in doing that, they have to unfortunately saddle her with a very boring like relationship with Grant, right? What's his name?
Grant, yeah.
So who's again like just not interesting. There's just like no character here. I don't know who this character is. I think that's also a problem I have running with the show, is I like the characters they did introduce this year have been pretty boring. Like this whole first family president stuff has been pretty unspectacular, even though it's kind of enticing on its face, right? Because, Devon Sawa as president, that's a fun idea,
Yeah.
and what it means for the show. But I mean, it just, again, like not executed well enough, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what it is with the casting, but not everybody's got to look related to at least one of the characters. Like the president's son looks like they're probably Jake's cousin or something.
Yeah. Theo, or what's his name?
Yeah. And I don't know if that's like intentional because Devon Sawa was playing another character that has a kid, and they got to make it seem like
right. Yeah.
it's Devon Sawa's kid. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a part. Was it in? Oh, I don't want to get this wrong, but there's a part where Jake mentions like, "That's my dad." I'm like, how can you tell? I know the joke is the president is similar to your father, but nothing like your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That the priest was similar to your dad, but not your dad. And like, how do you know this isn't the priest or this isn't like your uncle? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. It's a little, I think it's kind of fun that like he's playing a twin again, right? Because technically he did play a twin. I mean, he's not playing a twin. He plays somebody that looks like maybe that thought is incorrect. Like he's playing a lookalike.
He's looks close enough to the president to fake being the president.
Yeah.
Who has had his eyes gouged out.
Yeah. I feel like if you've already gone this far in the show, you might as well just burn off the last 2 episodes, no matter how you feel about it. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. Which again, I'm sure they're going to be good. I'm sure there's not going to be any weird green screen CGI moments or
on Chucky. No. Impossible. But yeah, I think the most important part of this show was the cool promise of Brad Dourif, as a ghost. So yeah.
Whom luckily Chucky was shot in like the abdomen or something when he died, so Brad Dourif's only makeup is a shot. Like he's bleeding a little bit from his like abdomen.
So it's canon that ghost age, right? Because technically he was shot maybe when he was 30 in the first movie. Now he's like an old man.
Yeah, well, I'm also chalking that up to the doll aged. So maybe it's whatever he's like as the doll. I don't know.
That's good mental gymnastics, John, for figuring that out. Very good. You got me. You got me there.
I think that is the only reason they actually aged the doll is I'm thinking they wanted to bring Brad Dourif back into the picture
as an old man.
Yeah.
Well done, John. You've done more work than the creators of Chucky on that one. That's give you complete props for. Alrighty. Do you have any other thoughts? Oh.
No, like Tiffany's still manipulating the prison guards. That's about it.
Okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Tiffany's, that deal is playing out. Okay, cool. No. All right. Let's move on to the main review of Final Destination.
Devon Sawa's...
you could say that. Devon Sawa's Final Destination. Before, we should you give the plot in 5 words, or we're going to introduce the new thing? This is totally off the cuff.
Oh yeah. We can do the, let's do the,
before we do.
I'm sure whatever you have is trivial. So let's
this is very forgettable. So before we get to the main review of Final Destination, I thought it'd be super fun to look back at the year 2000 and quiz John on what's some random facts about the year 2000.
Yeah, let me make up something new, like a little segment thingy for this that I totally made off the top of my head. Let's see. In the year 2000. Year 2000. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Made that up. All me.
Yeah, that's...
Don't sue me at Conan O'Brien.
Don't sue me 2000 Conan O'Brien. It's okay. He doesn't have a talk show anymore.
That's right. You remember he kept that up for like another 3 years, right?
On
like
TBS. Yeah. That was very good.
That was...
Yeah. All right. So I thought it'd be fun to do trivia. Okay. The year 2000. John, what do you think was the number one song of the year 2000?
Was it a Will Smith song?
Will Smith song? No, it was not.
That would have been my main guess. It was a pop song, I'm assuming, right?
I actually never heard this song, but I do have it queued up, meaning I can play it off my phone if you want to hear what it is.
Yeah, sure. That was such a long time ago.
Okay.
To be exact, like 24 years ago. So
yes, this was, folks, the number one song of the year 2000. No, actually, it was this song. Never mind that one. Do you know this?
Is that Michelle Branch?
No.
Vanessa Carlton?
No. Hear the voice.
I can feel the magic floating in the air.
It sounds familiar. I just like that was so heavy in my new metal phase by that point.
Yeah. It is. I probably should just say it. It's Faith Hill, Breathe.
Oh, I know this song. Yeah.
Here, with the chorus. Yeah.
We're gonna get copyright infringement.
Do it.
We gotta stop playing the song.
Try it. Try it. But yeah, that was Faith Hill, Breathe. Number one song in the year 2000.
Yeah, I think I was heavy in my new metal phase, and I had like a couple of pop albums, I think, that were gifted to me from like my aunt, who just refused to believe. Like, no, he doesn't listen. He listens to music like this because it's nice. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Give me my Slipknot. I need more.
All right. This one might be a little bit easier, I think, because I think you have. It is what was the highest grossing movie of the year 2000?
The year 2000. Shit.
Highest grossing movie.
I can't even think of what came out in 2000. Like, I feel like every time I try to think of a movie that came out in 2000, it always ends up being like a movie I didn't realize was from the 90s. Was it The Ring? Was it a horror movie?
No, it wasn't a horror movie.
Oh, shit.
It was I'll give you one clue. It was an adaptation. Which is funny because you don't know what it is yet. Yes, it adapted a book. Book adaptation.
Oh. What, was it a Nicholas Sparks book?
No, not Nicholas Sparks book.
Then how could this have grossed so highly? Just kidding. I don't know. I think I give up.
You give up? Okay.
Yeah.
It was How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the live action movie.
The Jim Carrey one.
Yes.
That came out in 2000.
Was it Jim Carrey or Mike Myers?
Jim Carrey.
It was Jim Carrey. I've never seen the movie, so I could not tell you.
That was good. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically the same thing as the cartoon.
It made
I see.
$251 million.
That checks.
Yeah. Okay. I got a few more. What do you think was the highest grossing horror movie of the year?
Was it The Ring? The Ring came out in 90 something. Damn it.
Say The Ring. It's not The Ring.
See, I keep fucking that up. The Grudge came out in 2000. I'm pretty sure.
No, that came after The Ring, didn't it?
Oh, that's what I mean. Like, The Ring came out in late 90s, so The Grudge.
Did The Ring come out? I think The Ring came out in 2001. The remake, right? We're talking about the remake?
The remake of The Ring?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Not the Japanese one, sorry. Not the original one. Man, I don't know. What was it?
2002.
Saw?
No. The highest grossing horror movie of the year 2000 was Scream 3.
Scream 3?
Yes.
Shit.
Which we reviewed. We reviewed, right? Did we review it?
I don't think so.
I reviewed it. I watched it recently. So I
Scream
think,
3 is the one where it ends up being her like half brother or some bullshit, right?
yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, Liev Schreiber comes out, right? And he's the actor that got accused of killing her mom or something.
Lance Hendricks was the main guy.
Oh, okay. He was the main bad guy?
He played a suspect because it ended up being his brother, the director. He concocted this whole movie about like wanting to kind of lure in Sidney Prescott because he was making a stab movie or something.
Yeah, was that played by Patrick Dempsey?
Wasn't it? No, he's a cop. She ended up marrying that character. He's the dad of the kids. It's
that's right.
I think isn't it James Foley or it has been.
It's been a minute. So I did get that right. Liev Schreiber comes out and plays Cotton Weary, who is the guy that was accused of killing Sydney's mom.
Yeah, because he ends up going to like Hollywood.
And I think he almost dies at the end of this one too. Yeah,
Scott Foley was the brother.
This.
Yeah.
Scott Foley.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Roger Corman was in this? Damn.
Yeah.
Emily Mortimer was in this?
Yeah.
Parker Posey? Patrick Warburton? Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes play Silent Bob and Jay?
It's a big stretch.
I'm going to stop looking there. That's where I end my research on that.
And finally, the last question, John.
Yes.
The last question, and it's related to the movie. What number, 1 through 100, what number do you did Final Destination rank for the year in terms of gross?
7.
No. All right. Moving on. I thought this question would be more fun. It wasn't. It was the number one. It was 47 of 100. It was the 47th most watched movie.
My mic cut out. I was saying 40, but it didn't come out. I just said 7.
You're close. You're 40 off. But yes, that was just some fun facts about the year 2000. And let's move over to the main review. And John, do you want to give us the plot in 5 words?
Johnny, 5 word plot summary.
Rolando, drum roll, please. For 2000's Final Destination with Devon Sawa, coming in at number 3, Rocky Mountain High music video.
It's a good one.
It's like that and one 9 Inch Nails song.
Yeah, well, good 9 Inch Nails song.
Coming in at number 2 for Final Destination featuring Ellie Larder, French Class Wee Wee's Pants.
Were they a French class after all? That's what the trip was about? It was a French class?
Yeah, and they were going to Sean William Scott makes a comment going like, I fucking hated French class.
Yeah.
And coming in at number 1 for Final Destination, Devon Sawa playing a crashing dream.
Playing a what?
Try that one more time. I was trying not to laugh. Devon Sawa plane crashing dream.
Devon Sawa's plane crashing dream. Yeah, that's
Devon saw a plane crashing dream. I'm saying Devon saw a plane crashing dream, but Devon saw a plane crashing dream.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, got it. That's good. All right. So I think Final Destination has my assumption is it has a reputation of being a sort of forgettable franchise. But I think I've always had a fondness for it. Now, granted, I haven't seen all the movies. The most I've seen that is the first. I vividly remember watching the first 2, at least. So, like, these 2 movies I had seen before. The rest of the franchise, the other 3 movies, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch 3 and see if I saw it. I don't know. I could have already checked out at that point. And partly because of just exhaustion of like these these type of horror movies, these teen horror movies that were coming out at the time.
Because they were pumping them out every 2 years, which in the grand scheme of things is almost like one right after the other, considering how that's like quick for that time.
Right. Yeah. There was like at least 2-3 a year of these sort of teen horror movies.
Yeah.
Or even remakes of J horror movies as well. So it just became exhausting. But before we get into thoughts, what do you remember about this movie when you were younger?
Oh, geez, like pretty much nothing except for the plane crash part at the beginning and a sign that breaks at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, like I'd completely forgotten Devon Sawa, Ali Larder were in this. I did not remember Sean William Scott being in this.
Yeah.
So it was all pleasant surprises. Like when Tony Todd came out, I was like, oh yeah, but I thought he was like a minor character from like the second, third one. I forgot he was in the first one.
He's literally just playing himself, just Tony Todd, showing up, Tony Todding it up. So,
but I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised to be like, you know what, this movie's pretty good. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. It is written very 2000, late 90s. Like the characters are almost one-dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the thing that like literally Devon Sawa and Ali Larder are like the most memorable characters of this franchise. Like everybody remembers, well, especially Devon Sawa. Like everybody, this was like his, I think he had just done Idle Hands, which was kind of like his breakout movie. And then he did this.
Well, no, he was in Casper.
Yeah, for like a second.
He plays the human version of Casper.
Yeah.
The last like 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. So, and yeah, I'd have to agree. I think this movie's really, it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. Good like B movie, does that make sense? You know, like.
Yeah.
Has a fun hook at the beginning.
Sorry. One more Devon Sawa movie that I always forget about, but I'm like, fuck yeah, Little Giants.
Oh yeah, I guess
he plays the kid with the arm. He's the one that the Rick Moranis' daughter falls in love with.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And SLC Punk came out before this too.
Did it?
Yeah, 98.
Oh shit.
And then
I think
just the cast of people that never went anywhere. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it really is like a who's who of like 2,000 actors. Like everybody's here. They're all here, guys. And what I thought was great was like, I think the plot of the movie, like they have this great hook in the beginning. Cause like I don't think this is spoiling, right? What happens that he's having a basic premonition of his death. And he...
Whoa, hold on. Don't give it away. I'm just kidding.
I think it's like everybody knows, right? Like
it's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
They're trying to cheat death again.
Yeah, so it's like he has a premonition. A group of kids and teachers get off the plane and stuff while the plane explodes and stuff, and it's sort of explained that I always thought that was a really cool hook, that everything we saw up to that point I had a very was just something that hadn't happened yet or was gonna happen. And that they had a really good, and I think this is kind of a staple of the series, is like had a really good like action set piece kind of centered around it, because the plane crashing, the plane exploding, and all the machinations of like setting it up and all the character introductions, and then it explodes, was in a very fiery, very like pretty like as intense as you can make a sequence of a plane exploding and stuff, which seems relevant since Boeing is killing all these people now. so
yes,
nothing's changed 24 years, but and so that and I think that's one of the key things about the franchise is like it always has like this great centered action set piece where like death takes place. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like in the second movie we have the famous was a highway crash scene with the logs falling into the everything, which is still a meme today. You still see it, right? Like people make fun of that. So I think that's partly why I think this film series works, and partly why I think this movie works is because it goes back to kind of like a human thing where it's like, oh, I got a bad feeling about doing something, and then something tragic happens, right?
I'm glad you said that, because there's a part at the beginning where Devin Sawa was like talking to his parents. Forgive me, I'm having some congestion problems. Is he doesn't want to remove a tag from his luggage because it's like good luck since the plane didn't crash that time or whatever the fuck. And it's like, regardless if you remove it now, it's going to get removed at the airport when they have to take it off, because you need to take off that tag to put on the next one.
Right, yeah.
But go ahead and have this conversation.
Always a stupid kid. Yeah, well, plus, like, not to get too far ahead, but, September 11th hasn't happened yet.
It's true, yeah.
Things were pretty wild. It was a wild cowboy days of the airlines.
I'm also happy to see that, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm happy to see that Ali Larter has been playing one-dimensional characters since pretty early in her career.
What is this Ali Larter slander you got?
I've never liked her. She's like, she plays one of the main characters in Heroes, and every time she died off, I'm like, oh, okay. And then she got brought back as somebody fucking else because they cloned the shit out of that character.
Oh, yeah. But that can't be...
I was like, oh my God, stop with this character.
That can't be all her fault. I mean, come on.
Why do we keep casting Tia Leone and Ali Larter?
Tia Leone. Fucking catching strays out here and shit. Fucking Tia Leone. What the fuck, John? I think like from what I understand, like the writer, this is based on something the writer read in a newspaper or something, that like there was this plane explosion, and there was a guy that actually didn't take the flight because he said his mother or grandmother told him she had bad feelings about it, that not to take the flight, and he ended up not doing it, and the plane did crash or something. So it's based on some fact, and they kind of like fashioned a script around it. So
okay, I did not know that. Jeffrey Reddick, is that his name?
Yes. Yeah. And the other thing I heard was that he wrote this as a X-Files episode, like on spec. On spec, right? And then of course they didn't make it, right? But somebody read it and liked it and said like, well, you can change it into make it into a movie. And this is what he kind of came up with, which I thought was pretty clever.
They're like, yeah, what would make the script better? Make them all teens and they all die.
Yeah.
Because it's the year 2000.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of like we have just a laundry list of 2000 actors, right? But the top billing,
a lot of forgotten
actors, and the most top billed made it out that we both still enjoy is Sean William Scott.
Yes,
is in this.
Whom I just watched recently in that movie Jackpot.
Oh, he comes out?
He comes out, but it only has a cold open, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. And then he dies, and I'm like, do I want to keep watching this movie?
Yeah. And it's so funny seeing him play this character also, real quick, because I was like, he plays like the sort of like comedic character, but it's because he's so like meek and like weak and kind of a pushover, annoying kind of character.
He kind of reminded me of, I wonder if this was intentional. So American Pie came out the year before. It almost feels like he's playing the younger brother of his character in American Pie.
Right, yeah.
That's what it feels like, even the way he's dressed.
And I think that like for the few scenes he has, I feel like he's so good in it because he has that charm, that sort of like charming dumb-wittedness that he kind of does in these roles, where he's funny, where he makes these like kind of poor jokes, right? But I mean, the way he delivers them, they're like almost elevated.
Yeah.
So they're actually much funnier than they probably intended.
Yeah, which again, not to jump ahead too much, but I feel like they try to make a similar character in the second movie, and it doesn't land as well.
Oh yeah, well, I definitely had thoughts about the second one. Yeah, about the characters. Yeah, it's rough, but for the most part, I kind of feel like there's a lot of like archetypes. A lot of like all the characters are kind of. We have the quiet goth girl. We have the asshole jock boyfriend,
sure, the quiet goth girl. I feel like this is it. Ali Larter's character, Clear Rivers, almost feels like a spoof. Like the entire time, every single time they introduce like this is what her home life's like. She has no family. It seems like she lives alone in this house. I'm like, what? And then she's like a welder and she makes art. I'm like, okay, so she's gonna get killed her own stuff, right? Because she's the art girl. It's almost like they're making fun of She's All That, but I think She's All That came out after.
Oh man, that's a good one. I think I came out in 99 or 98.
Oh, 99, yeah. So yeah, it almost feels like they're making fun of that character.
I just don't think what they did, their hobbies were as important to the writer. so I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, she literally could have done
like,
anything.
There's a part where Devon Sawa finally goes to her garage. That's the only part of the house you see, by the way. But goes to, oh no, she's inside for a second. But she goes to her garage and she's like, I made this. It's you. And it's like, okay. like, okay. And then she's like, well, it's not supposed to be an exact likeness. I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock. It looks nothing like a person at all. But okay.
Yeah.
It's like, who wrote this character?
Yeah. It's older people trying to write young people or something.
Trying to write women too. Yeah, I think it's like.
Yeah. And I think they changed from these kids were supposed to be older. They were supposed to be like young adults, you know, but he changed it to, I'm assuming they changed it to teenagers because it was of the times then, you know, like it was like, all these like, I don't know if it's hard to explain for our younger audiences, like, because I don't think they've probably experienced anything like this where like you have like Hollywood is making all these young people movies.
It was like a boom. It didn't matter
right.
what genre it was, right? It was all teens.
Yeah. In everything. The previous big boom goes back even further with like the Brat Pack of the 80s, right? So
yeah,
where Hollywood is making all of these teen movies, and in 2000 is where like it exploded again for at least I don't know 5 years or something. Between I felt like She's All That was kind of like a catalyst for a lot of these projects, right?
I think so.
Early on one.
You got what, Freddie Prinze Jr. and then
Scream.
Matthew Lillard.
Scream also was kind of like a
Neff Campbell's fucking huge.
Yeah. And I don't think this generation, this new generation has quite experienced that, because I think it's like it goes peaks and valleys, right? Like sometimes Hollywood wants to make a bunch of movies about this, or then they stop and then make a whole bunch of movies about this other stuff.
To be fair, it's like the people that we have, the young actors that we have doing it today are like Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, and they look years younger than Devon Sawa and Ali Larter look like in this movie.
Yeah.
And they're Ali Larter and Devon Sawa are younger than Timothée Chalamet right now and Zendaya.
We should note that these aren't actually teenagers. They're like they're playing teenagers, but
I did the math, and I think Devon Sawa was still only like 23 in this movie.
Yeah.
Like everybody just looked old back then. I don't know.
It would be like what's an equivalent? Like High School Musical, right? Like they were roughly the same age as their characters, right?
Yeah. I think so.
They've always, like, these older characters that look young were playing teenagers. So
yeah.
Okay, so the other part of this is that the people that get off the plane are now slowly being killed off or whatever, right?
One by one.
One by
and
one.
It's also like people are it's not like just all happening at once for whatever reason. In fact, what happens, like, it's been like 2 months or something when they finally have, like, when it picks up again.
Yeah.
Like, this whole movie takes place in a 6-month time frame. So, like, it's and I think it really works because there's no real rules to this. Like, there's no... Devon Sawa is trying to figure out what's going on because he feels like it's happening intentionally. And he has, like, good reason for that, too. It seems like everybody he knows is dying off, and it seems too coincidental. And it's just because he sees a news report. I might be wrong about the time frame, but I know it ends at 6 months later.
Right.
Sees a news report that suggests, like, oh, it's really wild. Like, this thing exploded here, then jetted over here, and jetted over here, and it was like specific seats. I'm like, how do they know that? The plane was destroyed, but okay. But like, that's what sparks Devon Sawa is like, oh my god, I feel like it's happening, like, intentionally.
I think part of that is because his friend dies, right? His friend gets off the plane with him because he gets into a fight with Kerr Smith's character.
Oh yeah.
And his friend comes off, and his friend was the first one to die. He gets strangled in the bathroom.
I didn't understand that, by the way.
I know
the movie's got a movie.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't understand how... Okay, I need to preface this by saying I have installed a lot of shower heads and shower appliances on sets. And I've never seen a long metal wire that connects that way. I didn't understand what that was. Like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he gets killed by that.
I guess they had to make it look like an accident, right? That's what this thing is doing, right? Like, and it later, I don't know, this is a spoiler, what they think it is. It's never confirmed, right?
No.
So we can speculate that because Devon Sawa's character had this premonition.
Oh, and he's seeing things that suggest how other people might die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he knew his friend was going to die because he was looking at, even for the time, an older penthouse. And I think people quickly forget that table fans were made of the sharpest blades on earth, and which is not true, by the way. But, like, the magazine flies out of his hand or some bullshit, and it, like, goes into the fan and gets chopped up in a million pieces, and a little scrap that says Todd is on there. He's like, Todd. And he goes and tries to save his friend.
Right. So I guess like death couldn't kill them in the plane. So he's coming back to kill him now in a very specific order. He needs to kill him.
Yes.
So it's basically like about these characters that cheated death.
Death's design. Because luckily Candyman shows up to give a little wisdom.
Yes. On what is happening. So then,
very early 2000s to cast Tony Todd as a creepy dude.
I mean, rightfully so. He nails it. He's like in every movie of the series, isn't he? At some facet, he's like in every single one of these movies.
I think so. Yeah, I feel like he ends up dying at one point too, though.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Yeah. So that kind of raised the stakes of it. Is that his friend died? So.
And he figures out Death's design.
Death's coming for them and wants to kill him. But, like, who tipped him off? There's a lot of questions here. Who tipped off Devon Sawa's character and that to give him...
Death did.
Death did. This is the game Death plays?
Yeah. It's, I think there's, like, rules, right? Like, you gotta... If you take some, you got to give some. Like, leave a penny, take a penny.
Take a book, leave a book.
Yeah. I'm gonna a little library rules.
Library rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had Death's like, oh, I'm gonna kill your friend, but this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give you a little clue, little hint here.
And yeah, I liked Devon Sawa was incredibly watchable as the lead of this. He's kind of going paranoid. and nobody wants to believe him. The cops, the detectives, the other survivors don't believe him, except for Clear Rivers.
Except for Clear Rivers. Clear Rivers, who was like, then how would you know that, Devon Sawa? And Clear Rivers is like, no, he's not a witch. And I'm like, nobody said that.
Dude, what do you...
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I think you had mentioned before we started recording that a couple of scenes got cut out. And I'm like, that makes sense.
Right.
Because there's a part where like, I mean, I guess we'll get into that later during spoilers. I don't know if it's a spoiler. Like
the ending?
I mean, people are dying. I guess.
They are basically dying, and it's fun to watch them die. And in terms of like, without naming each one, like I think that these were all pretty good deaths. Like,
yeah,
like no real, like nothing too gross. I'm not a death guy, right? I'm not the the guy that particularly likes people dying. Torturously the way it's portrayed, but I thought they were all very clever, very smart.
Sean William Scott's death, I think, is what I was gonna bring up. It's the whole Kerr-Smith's character goes a little off the deep end at one point and is just like he's just gonna take his own life because fuck it, he does what he wants. Which again, like in this, and not to jump ahead, but the second movie has a character the same way. I'm like, why are we doing the same thing? Anyway, so he decides last minute that he wants to stay alive, and Devon Sawa is aware because he saw a vision of the seatbelt. He knew to do that with the seatbelt. And then out of nowhere, Ali Larder is like, babe. I'm like, babe, what the fuck? When did this happen? So apparently you told me that they cut some scenes out. That
it changed the ending.
I don't know. It would have helped or hurt the movie. I'm not really sure.
I liked this ending, to be honest. This is a case of...
It's more fun, yeah.
Of test screening actually working, in my opinion. I think I wouldn't have liked the other ending. I think it would have been a little too... I don't know. It wouldn't have worked. For me, it would have been a little boring, in my opinion.
It does set up a franchise.
Yeah.
Like it's almost guaranteed that there's going to be a...
Well, who survives? Yeah. Who survives the... Which is not exactly 100% clear by the end of this movie why they survived. There's theories about it. Why?
I'm hoping the next movie explains it all.
It does. Yeah. Hopefully it does. Yeah.
In a very neat little package with a bow on top.
Cool. Did you want to go into spoilers? You have any other thoughts?
Oh yeah, I wondered why they had to do the teacher who was afraid of Devon Sawa, and I'm like, that kind of checks. I'm not gonna be upset with her for not trying to help out Devon Sawa. It's like too random, too fucking weird. But the way death kills that character seemed to be so brutal compared to everybody else.
They hate women.
She had like a slow, torturous death compared to everybody else.
Yeah. She dies in the fire, right? Technically, she...
Well, no, she dies because she got stabbed in the heart. She got Elliot Smith too soon. So it's like a series of things where her mug has a crack in it and she just brewed tea and she's hovering over her computer monitor for whatever reason. And this is back then. So the computer monitor was like this huge fucking thing that literally was just a monitor, and she's like sparking because she's dripping water into it because she can't tell that her mug is cracked. And then a fire kind of happens, so she's trying to stop that. She gets stabbed, and she slips on water. A lot happens. She slips on water after she got scared because she's trying to look outside like, I'm just so scared of like what's happening, and then she sees Devon Sawa hiding in the bushes, so she panics. Slips, and she's trying to pull like a rag, and I didn't understand why she did this, but she's trying to pull a rag that happens to be draped on top of her little knife block set, so exactly what you think happened, and she gets stabbed in a couple places. Once in the chest. Devon Sawa breaks in, sees the fire happening. She's like, oh, let me help you, and right when he walks away, something breaks and like a table falls on top of her, and the knife goes into her chest, killing her. And Devon Sawa decides to grab the knife and pull it out of her chest and step in her blood.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, he's going to get framed for this. But luckily the house blew up. But people still knew that happened somehow.
Well, the Sean William Scott song, Leave the House.
Yeah, but he was also like, dude, your footprints were in the blood. Your fingerprints are on the knife. I'm like, how did he know that? But it's also Sean William Scott, so I'm like, he knew. He figured it out somehow.
Yeah.
I believe him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the most brutal death.
Yeah, the other ones were a lot faster, right? Because you had the girlfriend
Got hit
by a bus or truck or something.
She got real like your T-shirt. She got real Smiths.
I know.
But she got hit by a double-decker, but it wasn't a double-decker bus. But yeah, and that like made her blow up for some reason. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, and then
friend got strangled to death. Teacher lady got a lot of things to death.
And Sean William Scott got decapitated, right?
Yeah, because that's the part where the Devon Sawa pulls Kerr Smith out of the car last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean William Scott's like freaking out, like, no, I don't want to die. And then a piece of scrap metal comes and like cuts his head off.
As it does, yeah. As he's being hysterical. It's like, oh, there's something.
Like very close to the train that's passing by him. Like,
I didn't remember any other deaths but Scott William Scott's for some reason because of like watching it again. I was like, I remembered the way he died because it was like, I guess shocking because he's like paranoid, going crazy, screaming, and then like boom, they just cut off his head, which is like, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
good death.
And I guess that was kind of it, right? I don't remember anybody else. I mean, there's like one more death at the very end,
which we can get into spoilers right now.
Wait! No, stop talking, guys. Stop the podcast. Please stop the podcast. Because we're about to go into spoilers.
Devon Sawa almost sacrifices himself, but luckily he was made of rubber and didn't fry himself to death.
Right.
Because surprise, Ali Lauder's house is a death trap for some reason. Because there's a bunch of welding equipment that's not properly stored. There's a bunch of scrap metal everywhere.
You say it very accusatory, like it's her fault. Like, or I'm sorry, you're not Ali Larder, Clear Rivers. You're insinuating mismanagement of her supplies.
It's not her fault. Like her parents died or whatever, right? And she's just, or I don't know.
Did they die?
Yeah, I don't know. They're just non-existent.
They're non-existent.
So she's just doing whatever with this endless limit credit card that she has to buy all this shit. I think. Because she's the loner. Nobody likes her. It wasn't until midway through the movie I'm like, oh, she's supposed to be ugly or something. Because that's why nobody pays attention to her, I guess. I think that's what that's supposed to be. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm going to say something in the next episode. I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. I'm going to wait.
Oh, shit.
Blow your mind. But we'll wait till the next episode. You got to wait for that.
Wait a whole week.
For that information. But
yeah, Devon Sawa saves Ali Larder's life, who's stuck in a car. A lot of things happened.
I hated this ending. I thought it was the weakest aspect of the whole movie, to be honest.
Because everything else seemed kind of like plausible because it's so implausible that it's like, all right, it's just happening. But then the endings for some of these guys, it's just poor decision making. Like Ali Larder's trying to run away from what's going on in the house and decides to get in the car, and instead of opening up the garage door, just like kind of plow through it. Like just run out of the house. I don't know. Just run away. Like,
yeah.
The fucking car blows up, which saves Devon Sawa's life because he was trying to hold these power lines that had fallen.
Right.
And the only reason Ali Larder was okay was because the car has tires, so the car was grounded.
That's how that works, John.
Yeah, and her propane tank for a welding thing like had flown underneath the car and was going to explode. And you know this because Devon Sawa still had enough time to look underneath the car where the live power lines. Like,
he grabbed live power lines, guys.
Yeah. And blew up into the house that also blew up, I thought, but no, he was fine.
He was fine. He made it out. And we go like a year into the future, and we have
no, I think it was only 6 months later.
6 months later makes it even worse.
One of the characters mentions that. And his hands are miraculously healed.
This is just the part where it's just like, okay, this is dumb. Like these characters, surprisingly, the asshole boyfriend, the Kerr Smith character, survives. Ali Larder.
And even he points out like, oh, I can't believe we're friends now. I'm like, that's a weird thing to mention.
I know, yeah.
After we're just on an 8-hour flight together.
Yeah, and they actually go to, this part didn't make sense. They actually go to France because they missed going to France, right? Because the plane blew up. So they decide 6 months later to take a trip to France. With what money? I don't know. They went on their own. They went on their own, bought tickets and everything.
They all put out a life insurance policy and they all put their names on it, and they're the only 3 left. So,
and then they have a very night out at a French bistro that looks like backlot.
Yes, I mean all of Paris looks like a fucking backlot.
As it does. You and I both know France looks like a backlot here in California, and
or in Canada, I think.
Oh, Canada. Yeah, now you're right. Yeah, and then Kerr's like, they're having whatever moment, a funny moment or something, and then like the things start happening, and Devon Sawa recognizes it and is almost killed, but instead is Kerr Smith character is killed.
Which they show you that Ali Larder's character is starting to have the visions now.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, wait, look out for the bus. And the bus happens. And then Kerr Smith pulls him out of the way of harm. Mm-hmm. And while this is happening, it's like a series of really weird things that happen in Paris where I'm like, what an unsafe place to begin with. It seems. There's just too many coincidental things that make this sign that's like 100 feet up in the air fall down.
Because it looks like all facades and made to be moved around.
It's like Jerry Bruckheimer's Batman over here. What's going on? Why is everything so illuminated?
You're saying French people cut corners on buildings?
Yeah, maybe.
Wow, that accusation. Yeah, so that's how it ends. And then that's it. That's it. Surprisingly, I remember thinking like, oh yeah, that's cool that like Devon Sawa and Ali Larder's character. I didn't really like. It's implied that they're together, but
yeah, I don't remember that. I remember them just being like friends. The more I watched, it, like, oh, okay, they all have a bonding moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, like I was saying, like she calls him babe at one point. I'm like, when did this happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had a near-death experience. So things happen.
What were you saying? They had cut out of the film.
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I could just say that real quick. That New Line test screened it, and they got the feedback from the test screening process, and they said that they didn't like the ending of the movie, which affected some of the things that happened during the movie, which essentially is that Devon Sawa's character died at her house. Which would make sense because he grabbed live power lines or whatever. Yeah. He died there. Cut to Ali Larder having a baby. And apparently that scene was of course cut out. Had a baby, visits his grave with Kerr Smith's character. That was like the end of the movie. They cut out the fact that they, I guess, hooked up and that Ali Larder had taken a pregnancy test as well. So all those scenes don't exist. Which is why that scene kind of doesn't really work in the end, and why that whole trip, the 6-month trip, feels kind of tacked on there. Like I don't know how to end this movie. It kind of screams of that with that knowledge, But
I do like that they establish like, okay, all right, now that this initial thing has happened, we have like a month before Death's going to do anything. And if we can get through this again, we have at least 5 months before Death's going to try anything again.
Yeah, I'm not sure how.
Because we're able to get on a plane and go to fucking Paris.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like these movies kind of like it's the same plot over and over again. That's kind of like the point of it, right? But I don't think they've ever really, and I could be proven wrong, so I haven't seen the entire series, but they never really explained why Death does these things the way he does. It's just guesses and assumptions, and why he doesn't kill certain people, stops for long periods of times, and then kills people again. Like what are the rules? They've never really figured out that rule.
He keeps giving hints, and this is something I remember from, there's something called Cinema Sins that I really enjoy watching once in a while, and this one tickled me. But how at the beginning of the movie, when you're looking at this digital clock, which is what we used to use before everybody had a phone and a smartwatch, this digital clock churns into like 180, and then it transitions into the plane flight being 180.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how cool. But I'm stealing this, but also how hard would it have been to make it like a real number, like 145, 150, but it was like 180.
Doesn't that have significance?
It's just the flight number.
Oh,
like that's it. But yeah,
okay, yeah.
Unless he's trying to turn his life around 180, that could be the thing. Maybe that's what Death's trying to do. He's like, let me flip the script on how you die.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the first Final Destination in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. That was it. It's all uphill from there, right? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
One thing we've learned is that they're just going to easily tie in all these characters and not do anything stupid. Because they have all the sequels in mind. But we'll get to that next week. But first, let's rate this movie. John, how many sexy spooky bones do you want to give it?
How many sexy spooky bones will you give it? Sexy bones. Ooh, sexy bones. Rolando and John. Show us your sexy spooky bones. No, wait, don't do that. Just rate the movie.
I'm going to get Final Destination 7.5 sexy spooky bones.
Yeah, it's very fair. I would say it's about an 8 for me.
Yeah.
An 8, yeah.
I'd like to say 8. I just it's also not, I don't know. Like this series, I did watch them when they came out, but I always remember thinking like, oh, I feel like I like these other movies a little more.
Which ones? The other,
any of the other
okay,
movies.
Any of the other, yeah. I would have to agree. Yeah, like I said, like I think I've seen I saw these two movies, but didn't resonate as much as the other, The Ring or The Grudge or yeah, these other bigger movies. But but so far I was pleasantly surprised how good this is for the time.
Yeah, I had fun with this one. Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Thank you for listening, and as always,
stay spooky.
Come on! So survival, let's go! Against death's design! So survival! Skeleton boys in the house.